Hey guys, it's just a brief little thing. One of my friends asked me to show them how I convert figures. Obviously, I try to piece them together using Frankenstein method, but there's only so many you can do like that. You have to go in with an X-Acto knife. So today, I'm not doing that one right now. I'm gonna make this McDonald's attire Bobby Lashley, and going to switch out the top half to a non-drop down hips almighty black and white Bobby Lashley. So if you've watched some videos on this, I know that some people have shown us how I learned how to do is watching other people on here and whatnot. But I'm gonna basically take off the head, take off the arms, makes it easier to crack the torso off. And then I was told that the new Bobby Lashley still has the old style back joint, which is nice because here's just an elite. You can see right there where the body part would go into, and it fits perfectly with like these kind of styles. The newer figures usually have a smaller, fatter, wide one, like the Rick Rudes and such. Here's just a kind of a quick little look of all the people I've been building along the way. So, and then of course I got spare parts. Earthquake's not arrived yet, so I'm gonna pause the video real quick, let this water heat up, and then I'm gonna begin to crack the elite torso first, get that off there, because if something does go wrong, if it was to break or something like that, I'm not just torn this apart for no reason. But I've never had any problems like that. But I always start with the lesser one. This cost me like $12 on eBay, whereas this guy, I was able to snag him for like $20 because they had that pre-order deal, and I always buy two just in case I can think of an idea to swap them up early, because as time goes on, these figures become harder and harder and more expensive to find. Ask all these Austin bodies. Okay, so as you can see too, you'll see that obviously his wrist tape matches that red and yellow look. What's nice is I'm going to take the arms off, I'm going to take the shoulder joints, I'm going to take these arms off, I'm going to switch it to where they're in the entire black and white gear, so he's not going to have an odd red color in a black and white themed figure. So 1 second. Now I've boiled my water, and I'm going to start with just softening up, just trying to soften up the lower torso part. Sorry, the kitchen's a little bit of a mess right now. I've been building like crazy and haven't had time to really organize. I will clean this up once I've put all my works together. Like for instance, I took the lower calves of MVP to make Darren Young or shorter because he was too tall. That one's going to be probably my most expensive one ever done. So I used one of my custom ultimate Austin, because I got the Chase black and silver version. So I'm just letting that soak a little bit. Now I'm going to use this one. What I'm going to do with this right here is I'm going to pluck off, and I'm sorry I don't have something to hold the camera for me. Okay. So you see I took the arms out. I can take the head off too. Makes it easier. And I'm going to basically turn the figure sideways. I'm turning the figure sideways because that's where the entry points are. It's easier to go into the entry point on the front. Just be very careful not to clip. Since I'm not using these legs, I'm not worried about it. But if I'm using these ones, I have to really be careful, because if I start going too close, I could cause scratches to this. So give me 1 second. Always make sure to wear safety gloves. These things are, they still burn a little bit, but they don't cause burns. This water was very hot. It's not bubbling, but it's been there for 5 minutes in the microwave, so it does burn. Now, you'll need X-Acto knives. I tend to go with this smaller one. I went to Hobby Lobby. Of course, I got different varieties. Now, I did originally have another one, but it broke on first entry, and it was in this one right here. This one, however, has been lasting quite some time. If you apply too much pressure, you can easily snap these, and then it flings around, so be careful. 1 second. And as you can see, I have now entered. Now, some people go from the top and start building all the way down. I find if you loosen up enough, you can actually, open this up on the sides. Your choice, of course. My preference is just, I'm not too worried about the elite torsos, because, I just sell them for scrap. If not, just get rid of them entirely. So it's there now, and I'm going to go to the other side here in a second. Because of the uniqueness of this, I might go to the back on this one, because there is a, if you notice, there's a little bit of a gappage right there, obviously where the belt loop is. So if I was to scrape that a little bit, it wouldn't do damage compared to if it gets that white decal. Let me finish this up. Now, upon further inspection, this one might have already been remodded a little bit, because I've noticed that there's another cut line. In fact, when I was doing that, it actually took another random chunk out. And I slipped once or twice, and you can see the scrapage happened there. But again, this is not the torso I'm trying to work, so just be careful. When you go in with a X-Acto knife, you want to make sure to take your time. I usually tend to rock it back and forth, slowly cutting into it a little bit. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use the X-Acto knife to pry it. That will just snap it. I'm going to use a smaller screwdriver, flathead, and I'm going to ease into the same opening I have. And then once I get to wide enough, I will actually switch over to the big boy. And then either I will continue to pry it, or if I don't care about torso, I'll turn, creating a separation break. So 1 second. All right, and as you can see, I've used the bigger screwdriver. There is the peg I want, so I'm just going to do a little bit more on this side. And you can see this, sometimes they crack right down, then that's okay. That's okay too. All right, so I got what I wanted, the desired result, and there it goes off. And there's the peg. No damage to the lower torso, which is what I wanted. I just don't care for the McDonald's color. I know that, it looks a little, obviously they redid and sculpted this nice little belt on there for it. But the drop down hips, the bright colors, when he's kind of gone more to like gold and black. Just trying to make a little bit more of a serious one. Plus, again, the drop down hips just annoy me. So now it's time to cut him, or crack him open. Now, obviously you want to be very careful with your Ultimate torso, because while it was only $11 for me to get this Bobby Lashley, these can be more expensive. Bobby right now probably not as much because he's relatively newer, but when people start using his torso, because there's only so many African American torsos, and there's a lot of people, like I know someone said they're going to use an Ahmed Johnson on building one of them. You could use you could make him into a Marcus Corvon. Obviously you have to do painting of the head. I mean, I thought about doing that, but I don't have the paint necessary to do Corvon right now. So give me 1 second, I'm going to get him cracked open and show you what he looks like. Now I tend to crack these cold. I don't tend to put them into the hot water. When I do have to do that, it's when they're like really stubborn and not willing to do anything. The problem with that, when you warm up too much, is yeah, you might get the desired pop, but then all the pegs come out, which is nice, but then it's really difficult to try to put them back together. And if one peg's out of alignment or bends in there, you won't get a clean seal. So I cracked them cold. It's a little easier this way. I'm going to take my trusty screwdriver now. I wish I could show you the process, but I only have 2 hands. Again, you want to be very careful with these ones. So as you see, because I cracked them cold, it was pretty easy to do. I'm trying to show you now one hand. So I can lean this forward a little bit. And if nothing else, I'll use the screwdriver just a little bit more to apply pressure. Up, there we go. Boom. So you can see he has the same peg connector as the other one, whereas the newer figures usually have that new style. So, and I didn't discover this, someone else found this out before I did. They have, that wider, bulkier base. So, and that's okay, because we know that they're the same length and width. So we know that basically we're just going to be able to swap this with no problem. This is actually one of the nicer ones, given that this is a newer Elite style. And I am noticing something, though, on my idea to switch. If I switch as is, I'm going to lose his tattoo. Because his Elites don't have his tattoo. So that's a question I have to ask myself. Do I want a pre-tattoo? I mean, the tattoo is not that noticeable, and 2, it's not even that, real done. I mean, obviously he didn't have the best, he doesn't have like a complete work of art. Some figures I had to sacrifice tattoos on to make Ultimates. Until I find a decal specialist and I send these away to have them put on. I mean, obviously he has no torso tat or chest part tat, but again, with this, you're not going to see it ever. So it's up to you. I mean, sometimes you have to sacrifice. Orton, luckily, he has an Ultimate. So when I fix him up, it will be no problem. He has the newer style torso, though, so he won't be a nightmare. I will need to use a Dremel to make that work. So let me put this guy together and show you. So as you can see now, I've fitted it. It fits perfectly because, again, if this was a different one, it would have to, you know, take some possibly a smaller, what do you call it, like a, oh, what do they call that thing? Spacer. I call them spacers. And then they come in different sizes. What I used to do with a lot of my customs in the beginning was I would take like something like this. I'd cut squares or like triangles or, you know, just something a little, because it's a little thick. And then I'd put it in there to make sure there's, you know, it's not wobbly. So luckily this one though works perfectly. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my glue and I'm going to put 4 dabs, 4 little dots, and then I'm going to take my gloves off. If you don't take your gloves off and it gets on there, it will start taking the material off, and that's what happened with my Grayson Waller. I forgot to take my gloves off and I ended up catching a little bit of the glove material, which I will have to acetone or scrape that off, unfortunately. Still a good job, but always take off the gloves afterwards. The gloves are needed for your safety device when you're cutting. You know, prying, of course, is helpful. Once I've slipped and had this screwdriver kind of jam into the glove, but the glove is designed, so it did hurt, but it didn't puncture. You just want to be very careful. You know, don't be in a rush to build these. You know, the faster you try to go and build them, the quicker you are to likely make a mistake or scrape the body. Point example, when I was removing this Hogan torso, I slipped, and you can tell it's painted in white because there's the scrape. So now this torso is pretty much, I mean, it's useless to me anyway. I'm using it to build Kozlov, which I'll show you a sneak peek of. Yeah, I know he's super ripped. The skinnier body does not work. This Jack torso does work really well with this the Hogan style legs. So, and I'm going for more of his modern look, which he got ripped. So, anyway, so I'm gonna put the glue on there and show you the final product. Alright guys, and there's the final product. Now, what I will do is, this is drying. I occasionally kind of twist a little bit to make sure that it's not falling out. Let me lift the arms slightly. And again, you can see there's a little bit of detail. I forgot about the shoulder. I can always acetone that off. So you can see there's a seal to it. It is, you know, it does move around. I probably will get the, what do you call it? Like the, I have one somewhere around here. The black hand with like the glove thing like he kind of does. But there is, in my opinion, more of a complete, sealed, serious looking Bobby Lashley. I know it's just a tire, but Ronald McDonald gear had to go. So I kind of put him up here in a dark place to dry faster. There's Earthquake's body parts for when that shows up. There's the Hardcore Holly, the Kaiser. So, of course, you know, you want good glue. I got super glue. You can obviously go with the slower glue if you want to. This stuff works though. I feel like as long as I seal it, I got enough connection points. Nice thing is though, if I need to pry back into it for any reason, it's not too hard to remove. Just heat up the water, the glue softens, and I've been able to, you know, take other people's works and do stuff to them if I needed to. Like this guy was kind of really wobbly. I was able to go in there, put a spacer in there, fix him up. So not dogging other people, just, you know, obviously there's some things I can do really well with putting people together, spacing people together. So, and then what I'll do with, like for instance, Noble here, I have to still take off the tattoo, but there is an ultimate Jamie Noble. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. Hopefully you are considering doing this kind of stuff. I'll tell you right now, it can get expensive. It can get messy. I'm not a hoarder. It's just right now I'm remodeling a lot of stuff. So that tote over there, that 4-5 plex, that's all body parts. So till next time.